Most PC gamers are now playing with more than 8 GB of VRAM PCMag. The consensus read is already outdated. What matters now is the second-order effect most commentary still ignores. We will map trigger, incentive shift, and downstream impact before the close. Gamers built entire rigs around it. 2 years ago, 8 GB was enough to crush 1440p gaming on high settings. But something shifted quietly, and now it's undeniable, the majority of PC gamers have moved past that threshold. PCMag's latest analysis reveals that most PC gamers are now running 16 GB or more of VRAM. This isn't a fringe minority chasing 4K ultra settings. This is mainstream. This is the new normal. And it matters because this shift exposes something deeper about where gaming and GPU architecture is actually heading. Let's start with what caused this. 3 forces converged simultaneously. First, GPU prices finally stabilized after the crypto collapse and the semiconductor shortage. Cards with 16 GB became accessible, not aspirational. Second, newer games, Cyberpunk 2077, Black Myth Wukong, Unreal Engine 5 titles, started demanding more VRAM just to run at playable frame rates. A 16 GB RTX 4060 Ti now performs better than an 8 GB RTX 3080 did in 2021 on brand new titles, because the games literally require the memory to load high-resolution textures. Third, and this is critical, developers stopped optimizing for 8 GB cards. They optimize for what their actual player base uses. Once 50% of gamers hit 16 GB, the incentive to squeeze performance into 8 GB evaporates. But here's the non-obvious part. This shift is accelerating the commoditization of mid-range GPUs. If you're an NVIDIA shareholder, this is good news on the surface. More VRAM means higher price points per card. An RTX 4070 with 12 GB costs $400. An RTX 4070 Super with 16 GB costs $550. But the real margin is in the enterprise and AI side, not gaming. In fact, this consumer trend is cannibalizing NVIDIA's ability to sell premium gaming cards to gamers who want longevity. A gamer with a 16 GB RTX 4070 today might keep it for 5 years instead of 3. That's actually a headwind for quarterly GPU sales. For AMD and Intel, this is an opportunity. Both companies have been aggressive with VRAM allocation on their newer cards. Intel's Arc series came out with up to 16 GB as standard. AMD's RX 7700 XT costs less than NVIDIA's equivalent and includes more memory. This shift to 16 GB as the floor is exactly where AMD and Intel want to compete, on value and memory, not on raw performance per watt. Now, the broader implication. This shift signals that gaming is finally moving into a post-scarcity era for consumer GPUs. Not financially, prices are still high, but architecturally. When the baseline doubles, game developers push harder. When developers push harder, they demand features that only exist in professional-grade cards. Real-time ray tracing, AI upscaling, massive draw distances, complex physics simulations. These features were luxury items in 2020. In 2025, they're becoming baseline expectations. And that means consumer gaming and professional graphics are converging faster than anyone expected. Here's the contrarian take. This shift might actually slow down AI adoption on consumer hardware. VRAM-hungry games mean fewer gamers have leftover memory for AI inference or local LLMs. A gamer with a 12 GB RTX 4060 might have squeezed 4 GB for running Llama locally. With games now demanding the full 12 GB, that option disappears. Ironically, the push toward richer gaming experiences could be throttling the decentralization of AI inference. For India specifically, this trend is hitting harder than you might think. India's gaming market is growing at 15% annually, but most Indian gamers are still on 6 to 8 GB cards due to cost. Imports are taxed heavily, and local assembly of GPUs is minimal. A shift to 16 GB as the new baseline makes entry-level gaming 40 to 50% more expensive in rupee terms. That's a real friction point for the 50 million Indian gamers who are still building sub-Indian rupee 50,000 PCs. It's not just about performance. It's about access. What changes next? Watch 3 things closely. First, watch for a price ceiling on 8 GB cards. If 16 GB becomes genuinely standard, OEMs will stop producing 8 GB variants within 2 years. That creates a hard cutoff in the used GPU market, which typically supports 60% of Indian gamers. Second, watch for AMD and Intel to aggressively position their memory advantage in marketing. They'll highlight 16 GB as table stakes while Nvidia maintains higher pricing. Third, watch for game engine companies, Unreal, Unity, to officially deprecate 8 GB support. When that happens, the shift from barrier to hard line. The second-order effect is developer churn. Mid-tier studios that relied on 8 GB optimization are now writing for 16 GB. That's actually a consolidation play. Smaller studios can't afford the GPU infrastructure to test across 16 GB fragmentation. So they align with bigger publishers who have the resources. That's another small handover to consolidation in game development. Here's your action. If you're a gamer with an 8 GB card today, you have maybe 12 to 18 months before new releases start stuttering meaningfully. Not crashing, just showing their age. If you're investing in gaming hardware, 16 GB is no longer a luxury. It's the rational minimum. And if you're in the content creation space, 16 GB VRAM is now the entry point for streaming, content creation, and local AI tools running in parallel. The 8 GB era is officially over. This is what it looks like when an entire market migrates to the next tier. 8 GB of VRAM used to be enough. Now it's not. PCMag's latest data shows the majority of PC gamers have moved to 16 GB or higher, and this shift exposes something bigger. Game developers have finally stopped optimizing for older hardware. What this means? The mid-tier GPU market is about to consolidate, and if you're building a gaming rig today, 8 GB is no longer the baseline. It's the obsolete tier. Here's why this matters for your next upgrade. Focus on 3 layers: immediate trigger, structural incentive shift, and downstream effects on operators, users, and regulators.